So be honest, does standing next to this make me look trim? Alright, moving right along. The room has been painted. I'm really happy with it overall in terms of how it exposes any flaws for the mudding and the taping. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect, but it really is good enough, and I'm really actually super happy and proud that I actually did it. We are moving on to the next part now, which is the trim, the wall. We've got 2 doors we're going to be doing casing, and then the baseboards, because I'm all about the base. I can't help myself. I seriously can't help myself. First part is painting it all, and then we'll install it, and then we'll just keep going. All right, cheers.
First things first, a quick change. Let's go.
All right, let's get started for real. I have my trim paint. This is extra white from Sherwin Williams. There's no tinting, it's just the base color. It's extra white. It's a satin finish. Normally you get a semi-gloss or even a gloss for trim, but I'm going to go with a satin, slightly lesser sheen, but it is durable. So we'll shake it up and let's get going. That looks all white to me. Even though there's no tinting in here, it helps to stir some of the different chemicals and crap that they put in this. Can sink, so you're just trying to bring that to the top. And then another thing I do, I'm terrible at pouring paint. Usually goes everywhere, so I just use this as like a little spoon. It seems to work. It takes a few minutes, but I don't mind. I mean, it does take long. I'm probably going to speed this up. Here we go. All right, let's get painting.
I used a little foam roller for the trim paint. I bought the trim from Home Depot. It's MDF and it's primed, so it saves a little bit of time.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome to my floor. Welcome to my wall, welcome to my trim, because today is trim day. I painted a couple of coats of the trim yesterday, and so that's dry. I'm going to start putting the trim in, but before I do that, I need to know where to set the trim. Normally when you're putting in carpet, there's underlay, there's carpet, so there's a gap, and you're supposed to put this up a little bit higher. I'm actually going to be putting ceiling tiles. I'm not going to be putting ceiling tiles, I'm going to be putting carpet tiles. This is the carpet tile. So I have it here. It's actually a lot thinner than regular carpet with padding. So this doesn't need to go as high, because ideally you want the carpet tile to slide under there snugly, sort of like it just continues, a little bit of a tuck under the baseboard. All right, so for this part, I actually use digital calipers, and these are a precise measuring device for measuring. They're for measuring. So I've got my carpet tile here. I'm going to use millimeters. I tried to use fractions, but it's so much more easier with millimeters, because when I get to fractions, it's like 11 64ths, 23rds, and it doesn't make any sense. Millimeters. So I measured the width of the carpet tile. It's about 7.5. So I ran around trying to find pieces of wood that would, work. This is 8-9 millimeters. It's too thick. I then used a paint stick. It was too thin. But then I stumbled across a video where a guy ingeniously found that pencils from Home Depot are perfect. 7.5 millimeters. The pencils are going to work. So I started practicing with it. I put the pencil, I think you can see it, under here. Another one on this side. And this slides in perfectly. So pencils it is. That's my trick, my tip for the day. Home Depot pencils, perfect width for installing baseboard and carpet tiles. I need more of these, so I'm going to cut them in half.
Here's what I will use to install the trim. I've got this braid nailer pack from Amazon, and I use the 2-inch braid nails along with my nailer, which I've had for more than 10 years. In addition to using nails, I'm also going to glue, which is optional. I decided to use glue because I have no idea where the studs are behind the walls, and this will help securing it. I've got my spacers, I won't lose those, tape measure, some gloves, a knee pad. I couldn't find the other one, so I'm going to just start with one. Hopefully the other one will turn up. And I'm also going to use a second tape measure outside where I'm making the cuts. I started inside the closet to kick things off. I'm going to have to carry the wallboards all the way at my office outside. I set up the miter saw outside. This is me wearing my one knee pad. And bringing it inside, measuring it. I know you're supposed to measure twice, cut once, but more often than not, I'm measuring 18 times and cutting 3 times maybe, but it's okay. I don't know if I'm putting the glue on right, but I just sort of wave it on. And then I'm using my spacers, dropping that in there. I had to, on the right hand side, you can see some trim on the side. I had to trim that out. Also the floor at the bottom there on the right was not level, but since it's in the closet, I wasn't going to worry about it. I cut the miters at the corner there at 45 degrees exactly. At the end of the wood where it's cut, I am going to prime that and paint that so it's, you know, not obvious. I'm officially out of the closet now, so I decided to keep going. So things were going really well, and I was getting a little confident. So I tackled the, I don't know if you call this like a standout wall or whatever it is, but I saw on YouTube a technique for doing sort of baseboard around it. It's to actually put it together, you know, obviously with the right measurements, and then wrap it around the thing as one piece. So it actually worked beautifully. I was really super happy with that, and I just, you know, I put it in, it worked, added the glue, and then the nail braids at the bottom. I think I was getting a little bit too confident because I stood up and put these last braids in, and then I kind of messed it up. I'll show you later.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. We're still in the trimming process, adding the baseboards, and now I'm going to be working on the door trim. You're actually supposed to do the door trim first, but what I did is I actually started in the closet. I wanted to sort of get used to using the saw, making the cut, so I did it in an inconspicuous place, but now it's time to trim out the doors. I've watched a few videos. I've done it a couple times, but we're going to get started, and we've got 2 doors to do, so we're going to do it right now. All right, cheers.
I think every DIY video on YouTube needs to have the removal of painter's tape. So in terms of putting up the door trim, it's measuring, I think it's 1/4 inch. I just made little pencil marks, and then I use obviously the spacers to bring up the side piece. I started with the left-hand side. Again, I just watched some videos on how to do this, and in terms of marking it, running outside, trimming them down. This was actually like a complete door pack, so it has the 2 sides and then the top piece. I didn't glue this, I just used the braids. Hey everyone, so I messed up. I measured the door trim wrong, ended up way too short. But hey, I'm all about transparency, and we all make mistakes. Thanks for understanding. Let's get back to the project. Yep, I just measured wrong. So I had to cut another little scrap piece, and I just glued it back in. Hopefully when I add some cork and stuff, you won't see it. Ah, stupid. So the door trim has been installed and fixed, so it's back to the baseboard. I kind of like these little pieces, making the little cuts. It looks really neat. I'm not too worried about any gaps that might appear. I'm going to be using cork to sort of go through those seams to make them disappear. Oh, the one thing I forgot to mention is between the miter cuts, I do just use regular wood glue to make sure that they stay together once they're installed. After sort of the smaller cuts, it's onto the long walls, and those are really cool because you make a lot of coverage in a relatively short amount of time. I used a tape measure here because I'd actually written down on a piece of paper where the studs were, so I was able to make sure that the braids, when they went in, were actually hitting the studs. Oh, I just realized I found my other knee pad. This was the other mistake I made. When I put the braid in, I think it hit something and buckled. After all the trim has been installed, it's now time to finish it up and make it look professional. I'm using spackling and a small putty knife to fill in the nail holes. This is a nail punch to drive the nail heads in below the surface of the trim where it didn't go in properly. I'm also using a high quality flexible cork to fill in any gaps between the trim and the wall, as well as the seams and inside and outside corners. And a couple of rags to clean as I go. And some prime paint for those exposed wood cuts. I'd run my fingers over the holes to make sure the nails were in. If they weren't, I used the nail punch. I then put some spackle in there and used the knife just to smooth it off. I did it on the outside. I don't know if you're supposed to, I just did. I then used the cork gun to apply a very small bead across the top, and then I used this fantastic thing which I should have showed you before. It's actually used to smooth out cork. It has different radiuses on either side. It made things a whole lot easier. Where you can't use that tool, you can obviously just use your finger to get it in there. And then as I went, I just continued to use the rag just to clean off any bits and pieces. And then obviously the cork goes on the inside and the outside of the trim as well. And then just clean up as you go. It's speeded up, I'm not that quick. And that's it. It's finished. I love it.